All right, we're going to go ahead and kick things off and hope that some more people jump on here as we go along. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Developing Your Brand workshop today. My name is Lucas, and I am the Professional Development Co-Chair of the Chicago School Student Association. For anyone who doesn't know, the Chicago School Student Association is a group of students that collaborate to bring events and activities that are both beneficial and engaging to our Chicago School student population. And we are excited today to bring you a professional development event where we'll be talking about professional branding led by our Assistant Director of Career Services, Elke Hardt. Before we get started, I know we have a lot to cover, but I just want to say if anyone does have any questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat box, and we'll make sure to take some time at the end to address them. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and give Elke the floor.
Thank you so much, Lucas, and I appreciate being invited to speak on this topic today. Before I get started, just wanted to address the word brand. So I do a separate workshop in our webinar series on professional identity, and branding comes up in that conversation. And I was just looking up, professional branding, and then personal branding came up. And so in my reading of several articles, I personally have come to the conclusion that there isn't a whole lot of difference between personal branding and professional branding. I think it's just a nuanced thing. The idea is to define who you are and to use that information in managing your career. So I've kind of dropped the word professional or even personal from my slides. I hope that's okay. And if anybody ever wants to have a deeper conversation about all of those different terms, I'm happy to do that at some point. So just a quick rundown on the agenda. I will talk a little bit about the definition of branding. I've kind of separated out the steps as being a reflection piece, just talking about your story, how relationships come into play in all of this, and then just touch on online presence before we close it out and have time for discussion or any questions. But if you have a question while I'm speaking, please feel free to interrupt me. I hope that I notice. If I don't, I hope somebody else notices. If a hand is raised or if there's anything in the chat that I should be addressing, please just interrupt me, that's fine. So Dan Schabel, back in 2009, he wrote a book called Me 2.0, and he defined branding as unearthing what is true and unique about you, and then letting everyone know about it. He was not the first person to coin the term, but I like this definition because to me, it just really encapsulates everything about branding. First off, the piece that it's about you, it's your story, it's who you are, the authentic you, and digging deeper into that, those things that make you unique and special from others. That's what we're really trying to get at when we talk about branding. And then the second piece is the letting everyone know about it. So that's like the marketing piece, which is essentially what branding is. It's promoting yourself, promoting who you are, what you want to do in your career, in your life. So just wanted to start with that definition. Others say that it's just really about how you define yourself, and aligning who you are with what you do. And so kind of bringing the personal identity into the professional identity and melding both. It's all about what you believe in, but also what you want to be known for. So you have to be thinking about the future and what you're interested in career-wise, what you want to be doing out there in the world, what you feel you are called to do, and to make that message clear, right? But it's also about what other people think about you. So when they keep hearing these messages, they will form an opinion. And so essentially branding is also your reputation. A great brand is going to build credibility, authority, and trust as you move through your career, and whether it's through promotion or continuous learning, you're moving, up the ladder in terms of knowledge and experience and expertise. You might become known in your field as somebody to turn to that has that expert knowledge. And so your brand can help to define that and to define you. But back to the reputation piece, as Jeff Bezos likes to say, your brand is what other people say about you when you are not in the room. When I first saw that, it kind of scared me. You can't control what other people say or what they think about you. But the hope is that you define your brand in such a way that it is an accurate reflection of what you are wanting to portray to not only yourself, but to others, to your clients, to employers. If you're in the middle of, interviewing for a position, and certainly in today's world with technology, your message is out there online for everybody to see. So you want to make sure that it's the truest portrait of what you want to show everyone. So the first piece I've called reflection, which is often in career development the first step in anything that you're doing that's around careers, whether it's choosing a major, whether it's writing your resume, or here defining your brand. We look inward first. We have to first define who we are, what makes up all the pieces of us. And so I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this section because to me, it's the foundation. And personally, probably I think the most important. If you don't do this, then you won't have a message to send out. So first of all, it's thinking about who you are and what it is that you want. And there are a lot of ways you can go about doing this. As self-assessment can be done in a variety of ways. There are assessments you can take. At Career Services, currently, we don't offer any assessments, but I certainly know where you can find them. So if that's ever anything that you would like to do, please feel free to reach out and ask me. There are a wide variety of assessments that you can take to learn a little bit more about yourself, whether it's your interests or your personality type or whatever the case might be. Once in a while, it can be a challenge for people to bring that information up out of themselves without some kind of a formalized instrument to help them. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just more of a structured approach. Sometimes it's a good stepping stone for these eventual conversations. So again, if that's something you'd like to do, just let me know. The other suggestion is to ask other people to describe you, people you trust, people you know well. Ask them, how they see you and what they think your greatest accomplishments have been so far and what they think your greatest skills or abilities are. Sometimes people see us a little bit differently than we see ourselves. And so it's just a fun perspective to have. But if you are ready to tackle these questions, there are some listed on this slide and there'll be some on the next. But just things to consider, like, what have you accomplished up until now? What are the biggest achievements that you've been able to complete to date? What are your greatest strengths? What are you good at doing? What skill sets do you have? What are you passionate about? What do you love to do? Again, something I'm going to touch on in a little bit more detail in just a moment. And what are your goals? So again, what is it that you want to do with your life and in your career? You know, I was reflecting a little bit on that, and certainly the last couple of years have reminded me how fleeting life is, and that I have to make much more of a conscious effort to not just let things happen in my life, but to make them happen. You know, I've never been a great goal setter. I talk a lot about it when I'm teaching or presenting. That's not something that I have really learned to do, but I can definitely appreciate the importance of it, and am mindfully trying to set more goals now than I have in the past. Because honestly, if you don't, you know, life will just kind of drift by, and wonderful things can still happen, but you know, wouldn't you rather be in control of that? So the goal setting piece is really more important than some people realize. Other things that you're going to want to be asking yourself so that you can really gain a good sense of who you are, what's important to you, what you bring to the table, what you want to do with all of that, how you want to contribute to society. So, you know, why are you special? What makes you special? What differentiates you from other people who might be applying to the same job you are, or who are pursuing the same program that you're pursuing? Or what makes you different from them? If something does make you different, we all are on a very unique journey in our lives. We are all walking a very specific path that's unique to us because of our background and history and our ancestors and our desires and goals. You know, we might have things in common and we might be on a similar path, but at the end of the day, each one of us is very unique, and we need to tap into that and figure out a way to articulate what that uniqueness is about us and how that translates into like a value add, right? So if, again, you're in a job search and you're up against a number of other candidates, why would somebody want to hire you specifically based on that uniqueness? Like, how is that going to benefit the employer? These are things that they're going to want to know about you and might very well ask you in an interview, which again is why I think this reflection piece is just so critical. The motivation factor, you know, what gets you up in the morning and makes you do the things that you have to get done during the day? What motivates you? And will that continue to motivate you throughout your life and throughout your career? And will that keep you going when things get tough? What is your vision for your brand? Have you ever even thought about it? How you want to be seen out there in the world, how you want to be noticed, what you want to be known for, what perception people will have of you. So what is that vision for yourself? And what do you want others to think when they hear your name? So if they happen upon it when you are talked about online, if they see your name on a paper maybe that you've written, whatever the case might be, if they hear about you, what do you want them to be thinking, right? I think we all have things that we hope they're thinking about us. So how do we make that a reality? This comes from a worksheet that I thought is just another way of looking at the different areas that you want to consider as you're doing your reflection and assessment piece. So at the top left, we've got, what do you love? What's that passion? Where are your interests? And I know it says, you may include a few personal things, but be sure to focus on what you love about your career. But you may not be in your career yet that you are preparing yourself for academically right now. Perhaps you've already had a career, a different one, unrelated to what you want to do later. So what was it about that job that you loved? Or do you know enough about the career that you're going to eventually get into that you already know you're going to love, right? But just in general, like what do you love about life? What are your interests and passions? Some things to maybe jot down. And then on the top right, we've got what you're good at. So again, your skills, your abilities, your strengths, things that just come naturally to you. We all have those. In more career-related terms, you've got, your hard versus your soft skills. The hard skills being those industry skills, skills that you are very, that you're training for to develop, that are very specific to a job or to a role, right? That you can maybe sometimes only do in a specific industry or role. Whereas the soft skills, which are nowadays also called like human skills or transferable skills, those that you can do at any job in any industry. So things like communication skills or research or being organized or a team worker or team player rather. So taking stock of all of those, just making that list can help you to start formulating, again, that message, that brand identity that you want to share with others about you. On the bottom left, we've got values and purpose, those things that you can't live without. Your calling, your reason for being, your compass. And so how can you incorporate all of that into service to others, into making an impact outside of yourself? And then on the bottom right, we're back to, how you're different. What's unique about your experience, your life, that just makes you do things a little bit, differently than other people, that you've got a unique perspective, just based on how you've grown up and what you have experienced in your lifetime. All of that will help you to stand out, for sure, as a candidate when you're applying to positions, but also when you are firmly in your career. You still want to stand out, right? You want to have eventual promotions or move on to another career if you see something else that is inspiring you. So just all these things to keep in mind. I wanted to spend a little bit of extra time on the passion piece because selfishly, it's one of my favorite words. And there's, regular conversations about passion versus skills in career development, whether everybody really has a passion that they, just absolutely have to follow. I still maintain that, yes, there is that. I think everybody has it. They may be too maybe nervous or shy to talk about it because maybe they don't think that could ever come true for them. But it's been my firm belief as a career counselor that every student I meet with deserves to be able to fulfill those dreams. And so I help them to dig a little bit deeper when talking about passion, because passion is what fuels your actions, right? If you don't absolutely love something, then at some point it's going to become really kind of boring for you. And you might even just stop doing it. And where's the joy in that, right? Which is why I think it's so important to have passion for the work that you do. So some of the ways that you might tap into that, if you don't already know, with strong conviction, what your passions are, might be good to just spend some time reflecting on the kinds of activities or causes that you're really committed to. There's got to be a reason for that, or why you chose your program here at the Chicago School. You wouldn't have chosen it if you didn't like that field of study or interested in some aspect of it or wanted to do it as a career. I am still so grateful for the opportunity I had in graduate school to be able to pursue my passion when I studied. I knew I wanted to go into counseling. I was still learning what that whole world looked like and what I would be doing inside of it, but I knew that I needed to be a part of it. But at the same time, I was always very involved in sports. And so to find my program, which was athletic counseling, knowing that it would prepare me to work with athletes was just like a dream come true for me. And I loved every class I took, and I loved all the projects I was on, loved all my internships. And I was just very fortunate in that regard. And I think because of my experience, I wish that for everyone. Some other questions to think about, what could you talk about for hours? I know we all have people in our lives that just go on and on about, certain topics. For my dad, it's politics, for others, it could be gardening or cooking or sports or family, whatever. So what is it for you? What do you just really love to talk about? Or what makes you lose track of time? What do you get so busy doing that, you look up maybe from a book and it's been 2-3 hours? Or you've been, just ensconced in your favorite hobby, whatever the case might be. For my mom, it's knitting. She can knit for hours and hours and have no idea that time has gone by. So what is that for you? Because that's a passion, right? Or consider the type of people that you're drawn to. If you notice maybe a pattern in the types of friends that you choose or people that you find just really interesting, are there public figures that you admire for some reason? What type of people are you drawn to? That can be an indicator of the kinds of passions that you might have. And if all of those questions still keep you stuck, then it might be time to go back in time a little bit and just think about and remember the activities that you did as a child. What were you busy playing or doing when you didn't want to stop, when you were called to the supper table, or, whatever the case might be. You didn't want to do your homework because you were busy doing something else. What was that? And how can you maybe think about incorporating those things back into your life if you haven't in a while? So that's passion. Try and find those things that really inspire you deeply and that bring out the best in you, and incorporate that into your life and into your branding message. So just a quick thought on values. I used this slide in another presentation. I just thought to add it here because you can think about values in different areas of your life. So in terms of, relationships you have with others, it could be personal, it could be professional, but what is it that you value in other people? What are you hoping you will see in their character, maybe, when you are in a relationship with them? Don't know if that's something that we think about on a regular basis. Certainly on the personal level, just thinking about the core values that define who you are as a person, and again, provide that that guiding light, or that compass with which you make your decisions and your choices. So those are your personal values. What about work? What do you value at work? What's important to you at work? What can you not live without at work? And then lastly, just thinking about legacy. What impact do you want to have on the world? And I don't know that people think about this either on a terribly regular basis. I do think as people get older, they start to think about legacy. Or maybe the impact isn't on the world, maybe it's on your family, or maybe it's on your community, or inside the organization where you are going to choose to work. But we all make an impact, whether it's positive or negative. So what kind of impact do you want to have? It's something that we should maybe think about a little bit more. So we've done the reflection piece. You've gotten to know yourself. You know your strengths and your values and what your passions are. Excuse me. You have this this description, this image of you as a unique individual. And now we need to put that story together so that you can get ready to share it as your brand message, right? As who you are and how others will see you. So part of creating that story is really learning how to communicate who you are to other people. And inside of my world of career services, the question, tell me about yourself, really just sums it up. So a very typical, almost first question in any interview that I've ever been in, tell me about yourself. So now that you know yourself, this is your time to shine, right? You can share everything that you have been reflecting on, all those unique aspects of yourself and all the accomplishments that you've achieved. And you want to fine tune this story. You want to practice it until you're comfortable sharing it, because you will share some version of it very often for the rest of your life in all kinds of environments and situations that you find yourself in. And it's important that it's good to go, because this is very often the first impression that others will have of you, right? So if we stay inside of the career services world, then one way to prepare this statement, this personal statement, or the answer to tell me about yourself, is by what we call the elevator pitch, which you may be very familiar with. It's a popular term that came about as a way to describe your opportunity to share just a little bit something about yourself with somebody that you might be riding in an elevator with. And it might just be 1 or 2 floors. You might be at a conference and somebody steps into the elevator. Maybe they were a speaker. You just attended their workshop, maybe. And you have all kinds of questions for them, and you'd love to, be able to speak with them a little bit more. So now's your chance to at least introduce yourself, let them know what you're interested in talking about, then, make a time to meet up with them at a later point. And then they're off the elevator, and that was your chance, right? So as the years have gone on, we've kind of used that term to describe this. Again, it's a personal statement. It can be like looked at as a 30-second or 1-minute commercial about yourself. It's your ad, it's your message, it's your brand, it's what you are telling others about yourself, concisely enough so that they have a little bit of an idea and are interested enough to be able to follow up, right? So you're going to use this, again, whether you're at some kind of a networking event and somebody is there that you want to meet with and learn about. You will use this if you're at a career fair and you are introducing yourself to the employers at the booths or virtually. You will use some form of this information in a cover letter when you're introducing yourself in the first paragraph of your letter when you're applying for a position. And obviously, as we've already said, you'll be using it in an interview to answer the question, tell me about yourself. So having some form of this, a little statement about who you are, will prove to be very valuable for you. Excuse me. Again, you're not going to have time to tell them your whole life story and to share every accomplishment with them. You want to just provide enough information so that they get a good glimpse into who you are, and are curious enough to follow up. There are a variety of ways that you can write this pitch. I've chosen this 3-step approach, which you can revise or change up a little bit. But this is essentially the way it goes. So the first piece is just, obviously, who are you? So got your name, and then providing some kind of context, whether you're a current student at the Chicago School and studying forensic psychology, or you are a marriage and family therapist with your own practice. Whatever it is, you will say it very briefly. Okay, but give them some kind of context. Are you a graduate student? Are you a recent grad? Are you well entrenched in your career? So that's the first piece. Then the second piece, just giving them a couple of blips of info about your uniqueness and your accomplishments, skills, just something to make them curious and to make them remember you. You want to make sure that what you're sharing with them will be relevant to who they are and what it is that you're wanting from them. So if you're speaking with an employer that's got a job you're interested in, well, then you will be discussing anything that's related to that job that you have, right? So the skill sets that would be used in that position or experience you have that's related to the job. So the second piece may change, again, depending on the situation and who you're speaking with and what you want from the person you're speaking to. So just always frame it in a meaningful and relevant way. And then lastly, why are you talking to them? So what do you want? Of course, we want something from them. So that's your call to action. And again, it'll depend, right? But very concisely, very quickly, just want to let them know what it is that you're interested in discussing with them, or what it is that maybe you're looking for. Is it a contact? Is it a job lead? Is it information about the company? Whatever it is, make sure that you state it so that they don't think that you were just randomly introducing yourself for no reason. And that's really it. So once you've got that sort of framework done, then you can change it up again, just kind of depending on when the situation arises that you would need to share this information in a different situation. So I've talked about getting to know yourself. So you've got that information, you develop your little story. Then you need to share your story, right? And so the next piece for me, I call it relationships, although other people call it networking. I'm trying to stay away from the word the word networking because it seems to scare students off. I know it used to scare me off because I just had this vision of having to approach complete strangers and ask them for a favor, which is not in my comfort zone. But that is not what networking is. Networking is, it's about building relationships. It's just about meeting people, getting to know them, teaching them about you, right? It's a two-way street. So you're learning about them, they're learning about you. You're building and nurturing these relationships in the hopes that there can be some kind of mutual benefit going on at some point, right? I think many students also think that they don't know anybody. Well, I don't know anybody who works in forensic psychology. Yes, but you know many people. And surely one of those people might know somebody who knows somebody. And so that's how networking works, right? It's okay to start with people you know, because you know many people. And then you present your message to them. Here's who I am, here's what I'm about, here's what I'm looking for. And then they pass that information on to their contacts and their connections, and so on and so forth until it lands in the lap of somebody who can actually answer your questions. And it works. It just does. So start with people you know, okay? So there's you in the middle of my little diagram there. Start with family members, aunts, uncles, cousins, even if they don't live in the same state. But these are people who you know and you know them. So start there. Start with friends, whether lifelong friends, family friends, friends from high school, whoever they are. Practice with them. These are people that you should know well and who you trust. And so that safety piece will be there. It's okay if you make a mistake with how you're, sharing your brand message with them. They get it. They understand what you're trying to do. And so it's a safe space to practice. If you currently have a job, then consider your coworkers, your supervisors, or if you've had a job in the past and you're still in touch with those folks, reach out to them. Don't forget about the Chicago School. You have classmates and faculty and staff who are happy to talk with you and, build that network with you. You can also tap into the alumni of the Chicago School. You may not know them, but they are very eager to speak with students and to help you with your questions and just to guide you. So certainly use that resource. I put neighbors down. I mean, it might seem weird. I feel like lately we don't know our neighbors as much as maybe we used to. But if you do, talk to them. Maybe their cousin works someplace that you want to work. You just don't know unless you ask. And then I wrote activities. So that could mean, if you're on a sports team or a member of a choir, or you just go to yoga down the street every week, talk to the people there, start those connections. And understand that it's not a passive activity, right? You do have to take that initiative. It's one of those things in career development and in the job search where I think sometimes people expect everything is going to happen to them, that the jobs will just land and you don't have to initiate all these conversations and everything. But there is that work involved, but it's so rewarding. It doesn't have to be scary. Have a conversation with one or two folks and see where it takes you. You will be amazed, I promise you. So don't be afraid. So just some tips, excuse me, as you're networking. One thing to remember, you may not think that you have anything to offer a contact, when you reach out and you're asking for information. You might be afraid that they're going to ask you for something. Don't be afraid. Like, you have no idea what they might ask. And chances are it's not going to be anything overwhelming if they even do. So, don't assume that you don't have anything to offer somebody else. Just ask how you can help them. Yeah, you might be surprised. I do this, and people don't take me up on it often at all. But when they do, I've been able to assist them in what they've asked me, and I've been happy to do so. So don't let it be like a one-sided street. It doesn't mean that every time you are reaching out to somebody and you're asking them for some of their time to answer questions or whatever, that you automatically have to, like, quote unquote, return a favor. But at least leave that door open, right? If you are struggling a little bit in terms of, don't know where to look to maybe start building those relationships with other people, consider volunteering if you don't already. It's a really effective and also very fulfilling way to meet new people, because chances are they share, causes and things in common with you. They're volunteering there for a reason, because they feel very invested in that organization or the cause that the organization represents. And you're there for the same reason. So automatically you all have something in common, right? Especially if it's an org that you might be interested in working at one day, then, take advantage of the people that you're meeting there who work there, and ask maybe if one of them would become a mentor for you, or ask them about job leads. So take advantage of that opportunity to meet people in that setting. And then similarly, I cannot talk enough about students joining professional organizations, especially because as a student member, very often, though not always, but often, the membership rate is discounted. So it gets your foot in the door in a professional org for the industry that you want to enter into. And it just opens up a world of opportunities for you. You get to meet professionals who are doing the kind of work you want to do. You get access to job boards, networking events, lifelong learning opportunities. You get to stay on top of trends going on in the industry. So join, get involved, attend events, meet people. Again, find a mentor, join committees. It's the best form of professional development that I'm aware of. I have been doing this for many, many years, and I've just really reaped the benefits of it. I so enjoy being a part of the various organizations that I'm a member of. The people that I've met are lifelong colleagues. It's just really a joy, and you can see the professionals doing their branding, right? You can watch it at work. You can learn from them. How are they presenting themselves? How are they introducing themselves to other people? So learn from them, ask them for tips. Don't forget about follow-up. You just want to make sure that anytime you're meeting somebody new, that as soon as possible, as soon as the Zoom event is finished, or as soon as you're home from the conference, send out a quick email, letting the person know how much you enjoyed meeting with them, and maybe setting up a follow-up meeting, whatever. Again, it's not a one and done. It's not all about just meeting as many people as you can and then never being in touch with them ever again. It's about nurturing those relationships and maintaining them. And it takes time, but it's definitely worth the effort. And then tied in with that is just remembering to say thank you, to show them gratitude for the time that they do take with you, and for any information they share with you or job leads they might provide. Maybe they're happy to look at your resume, to review it for you, whatever it is that they're offering. Be grateful for it and say thank you. All right, so the last piece is the online presence. So you know about yourself, you've formulated that into your story. You are learning how to share that story. You are building relationships with other people to share your story with them. And then because of today's world, you get to do all of that online as well. So it's really important that you take care of your online presence, and that you're vigilant about your identity online. Some things that you want to think about are, as soon as possible, if you haven't done it lately or ever, is to Google yourself. Because if anything is coming up that you are not comfortable with, or that is negative, or is completely unrelated to the message that you're trying to portray as you're developing your brand, then you need to take that information down, or you need to ask somebody to take it down for you. If for some reason you are just not coming up at all, it takes a couple of pages, then it can just be a matter of creating some online profiles to bump up your name, right? Or to post some kind of professional content, maybe create a blog or create a website for yourself, just something that's going to make yourself visible, but also at the same time displaying the brand and the message that you want to display to the world, right? You want to make sure absolutely that you are on LinkedIn. I can talk for hours about that, and I have. Make sure that your profile is complete. Make sure that you're building your connections, that you are joining groups, that you are sharing posts or commenting on them or creating your own posts. Stay on top of LinkedIn. At this moment, the best resource available to anyone when it comes to job search, researching, and developing those relationships, your network. So any questions about that, just please let me know. Just in general, you want to make sure that you're always continuously updating your professional status, whether it's on LinkedIn or other online platforms. It can be just sharing any career successes, or the fact that you might be graduating, or that you were involved in a big project that you want to share. Whatever the case might be, just get used to updating regularly, because that means you're pushing your name and your information out there, and people are seeing that. And that's what developing a brand is all about, is letting people know that you're there, who you are, and what you're doing, right? Other ways to just get your name out there are just doing online bylines, where you might just be commenting on news articles or blogs that might be related to your career field of interest. Or like I said earlier, start your own blog. I kind of toy with that every once in a while. At some point you will become an expert in your field, and it's a great way to just push out relevant information in your area. Some other quick thoughts around that, besides LinkedIn. If you have a Facebook page, just make sure that you're updating that, your Twitter profile, updating your bio on a blog, or if you have a website or anywhere else that your biography might show up. Maybe if you are a member of a professional organization, they might have an online directory. So maybe you can add your bio there. I know many people have YouTube channels, so that might be a place where you can update your information. And then again, just having that personal statement / elevator pitch / bio ready to go, some version of it, so that you can add it to any job application materials like your cover letters, because that information is often also online. And so you're just trying to push that positive info out there. Just some quick thoughts as I wrap it up. Developing your brand is not a one-time event. This is something that you'll be doing continuously, because as you change and evolve, then your brand has to as well. So it's important to just keep checking in with your information. Make sure that it's relevant, that it's accurate, that it depicts who you are in that moment. And just remember that all of these activities in developing your brand are helping you to build your confidence. It helps you to learn how to talk about yourself, which is something we have to do in class, at work, during job interviews. Developing your brand just helps to set you up to be a credible source of information in your field. And just really helps to describe who you are and what you stand for and what you have to offer, which ultimately is what the whole career management piece is about. So that's what I got for you today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Elke. So yeah, open it up. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them now or pop them in the chat box.
I have a question. So Elke, during the reflection piece, you were talking about soft skills versus hard skills and identifying those. So specifically in terms of like your professional brand, not that there is, that huge difference, as you said, but thinking about like my resume and like what skills I might mention there. Have you heard anything of like, if employers prefer reading like soft skills or hard skills on resumes, or if it depends? I was just curious.
Great question, and very, very timely, because more and more I am hearing and reading that the skill section should really be devoted more to the hard skills. So those skills that are really relevant to your role and to the industry. But the soft skills can still be included, but they should perhaps be incorporated more into your job description. So as you're writing those bullets out, and describing what you did at a job, you can write them in such a way that you're mentioning the soft skills and maybe how using them allowed you to, accomplish some big thing for the company, for instance. So yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Of course.
Any other questions? Okay, well, Elke, if anybody does have questions, is it okay if we see you shared your email and phone number here, so we can feel free to reach out to you if we've got questions? Yeah.
Absolutely, no worries there at all. I'm always happy to hear from folks and answer any questions. I appreciate the time again so much. Enjoyed speaking to you guys, and hope that the information was helpful.
Right. Thank you so much, Elke.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank
Have a great
you.
afternoon.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.